Imagine a world where your paycheck isn't sliced by income taxes. Sounds pretty appealing, right? This is a very real possibility. It's an idea being floated around by Donald Trump, as well as Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency, otherwise known as DOGE. Now, what if instead of income taxes, the government is funded by imposing tariffs on imported goods? Today, we're diving into this bold idea, exploring its history, analyzing its impact, and envisioning what it could mean for you, the economy, and the world, whether it's plausible at all. Now let's start with the basics. Income tax is the portion of your earnings that goes directly to the government. It funds things like highways, schools, national defense, and healthcare. On the other hand, tariffs are taxes imposed on imported goods. They're taxed on the importing country. When a country buys products from abroad, it can charge an extra fee, making those foreign goods more expensive compared to domestic goods. It's a system designed not just to raise revenue, but also to influence trade and encourage manufacturers to manufacture domestically. But here's the big question. Could tariffs actually replace the income tax entirely? To answer that question, let's crunch some numbers. In recent years, the United States government collected over $2 trillion annually from income taxes. Tariffs, meanwhile, brought in about $80 billion, which is a staggering difference. To close that gap, we need to dramatically increase tariff rates. For context, the US average tariff is around 2%, one of the lowest in the world. To replace income taxes, we might be looking at tariffs upward of 50% or even higher on some goods. Now imagine walking into your local store, and you look at that $1,000 smartphone, the new iPhone. It could cost $1,500 or more with these tariffs. Those jeans you love, double the price. While this could encourage consumers to buy American, it would significantly increase the cost of living. Let's say your household spends $500 a month on imported goods. With tariffs, that might jump to $750 or $1,000, essentially becoming a hidden tax on consumption. For many families, this would feel even more burdensome than income tax. Believe it or not, this isn't uncharted territory. Before 1913, when the 16th Amendment introduced the federal income tax, which was supposed to be temporary, the US government primarily relied on tariffs and excise taxes to fund itself. During the 19th century, tariffs accounted for as much as 95% of federal revenue. They were critical to building infrastructure, funding the military, and even paying off debts from wars like the War of 1812. And one of the earliest advocates for tariffs was Alexander Hamilton, who saw them as a way to protect America's fledgling industries. In his 1791 report on manufacturers, he argued that tariffs would not only fund the government, but also help American businesses compete with Europe's established industries. And he was right. Industries like steel and textiles thrived under high tariffs, fueling America's industrial growth in the 19th century. But not everyone benefited. Southern states, which relied on importing manufactured goods, they felt a squeeze of higher prices. John C. Calhoun, a prominent Southern politician, called tariffs a tax on the many for the benefit of the few, arguing that they unfairly burdened agrarian states to support northern industrialization, which is states that heavily relied on farming. These economic tensions over tariffs contributed to broader conflicts that eventually led to the Civil War. Fast forward to the 20th century, and we see an even starker example of tariffs backfiring. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930, this policy raised tariffs to record levels, aiming to protect American jobs during the Great Depression. Instead, it triggered internal retaliation, it reduced global trade, and it deepened the economic crisis. It's a cautionary tale of how relying heavily on tariffs can backfire in a globally interconnected economy. But how do other countries manage their economies? Some nations have low or no income taxes, but rely on other methods to fund their governments. Singapore, for example, uses a mix of consumption taxes and fees to generate revenue and maintain low income tax rates. Meanwhile, other countries like China have used tariffs strategically to protect their industries while maintaining export dominance. However, even these systems come with trade-offs. Singapore's high fees can be burdensome, and China's reliance on tariffs has led to trade tensions with major partners like the United States. Now, let's get personal. Imagine you're an average household making $60,000 a year. With no income tax, you'd keep an extra $10,000 to $12,000 annually. Sounds great, right? But now factor in the increased cost of goods. Groceries like electronics, clothes, they're all pricier. Let's break it down even further. Your monthly grocery bill might jump from $600 to $800. That family vacation, plane tickets could cost 30% more. You want a new car? Imported models could be $5,000 or $10,000 more expensive. Would your savings offset the increased cost? For some families, it might. For others, it could feel like a net loss. Small businesses would also face tough decisions. Imagine owning a small furniture store. Even if you source wood locally, tools, finishes, and other machinery would come from overseas. If tariffs double your cost, do you pass that on to your customers? And if they can't afford it, how long does your business survive? These are the kind of ripple effects that policymakers would need to consider. And then there's inflation. As tariffs drive up import prices, the overall cost of living would increase. Wages might not keep pace. And that would leave families with less purchasing power. Even if you're not buying imported goods directly, the cost of domestically produced items could rise too, because many industries rely on imported components. What about America's role in the global economy? If the government drastically increased tariffs, the ripple effects would be significant. Other countries might retaliate, and they might impose their own tariffs on American exports. Imagine being a farmer in the Midwest, relying on selling soybeans to China or beef to Europe. If those markets impose high tariffs on U.S. goods, your livelihood could be at risk. Trade tensions could also complicate diplomacy, affecting everything from climate agreements to international security. But it's not all doom and gloom. Eliminating income taxes could mean more money in your paycheck. That extra cash could go towards savings, investments, or even starting a business. Proponents of this idea argue that it could unleash economic growth, encourage entrepreneurship, and make the tax system much simpler and more transparent. There's also the potential to boost domestic industries. If tariffs make imported goods more expensive, businesses might invest in local manufacturing. Industries like renewable energy, technology, and agriculture could see a huge surge in growth. In the long term, this could reduce America's reliance on foreign goods and create jobs here at home. Now, let's look into the future. Imagine a tariff-only America 20 years from now. Would we see a resurgence in the American manufacturing industry with factories springing up across the Midwest? Or would high prices and trade wars leave the economy struggling to adapt? Would consumers embrace the shift? Or would they push for a return to income taxes? It's a thought experiment with endless possibilities. So what do you think? Could replacing income taxes with tariffs reshape the nation for the better, or would it create more challenges than it solves? Let us know in the comments below. And if this topic got you thinking, here's another question to consider. How might this change affect the global economy, not just the United States? Could it spark innovation, or would it lead to trade wars? Thank you so much for watching. A subscription to my channel is both tax-free and tariff-free. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe, and leave a comment below letting me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.